Welcome to News Game Plus 50th episode. We've turned 50. I'm Dermie and I'm here with New Game Plus executive producer Jason and Dermie. Happy birthday.
I would say, are we going to celebrate the 51st one just to make you feel better? Is that how it's going to work?
I've almost caught up to my age. How about that? Which is not, my real age, not the one you guys were guessing, because I went from being dead to 60.
Well, look, when you die, at the very least, you kind of don't get older. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one says, oh, he's actually 114 years old. It's like, no, he died when he was 75, 50 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Really? Oh, no, some people do. I know there's parts of the nerd community still celebrate Tesla's birthday, for example.
yeah.
But
They,
anyway,
they, they, go, they go to the park and feed some pigeons in his honor.
Well, yeah. Well, when I do, I'm Irish, so I expect everyone to get shit faced.
Yeah. I've already said that. If you show up and you're in like a sad suit, you need to get out. Like,
No sad. No sad. In fact, I don't think everyone will be sad when it happens anyway. Judging by the tweets I received this week, I think there will be a lot of drinking and celebrating, especially from the American community who didn't like some of the stuff I said. So,
yeah, how dare, mate? How dare?
Anyway, so let's get into it because I got a fair bit to cover. I'm going to go with a rumor. And I heard a rumor, I'm not going to say where from, that after all the stuff I've said about this game, and I have given, if you want to know what is in the game, go back and listen to previous podcasts because I think it spoiled the whole lot. Yeah. So, apparently, The Last of Us 2 is not awful.
Yes. So, I'm pretty sure I'm going to check the embargo. Like, I'm just going to quickly search my email for the embargo.
Yeah, I know it's just a rumor I heard from somebody.
Yeah.
We can move on after that.
Yeah. Look. I don't know. Like,
not awful. That's what I've heard.
All right. So where are we? Early preview embargo, 1st of June. It's past the 1st of June. Can cover the specific section of the game. So I can just do it. You must not. Your expression must be exclusive limited preview content. You may not refer to any details, characters, or that you experienced prior to or following this section. Right. So all I can say is that
disclosure agreement.
Yeah. All I can say is that there are no the biggest problem I always had was that they suddenly decided to continue the story of Ellie and Joel, and all I will say is that they do a very good job of finalizing that and then continuing on a story, and I think they do a really good job of, I don't know, just showing the world post what happened, and I think that's what they needed to do.
So you think the join between the two games works?
Exactly. I think they do a good enough job of it, and the one argument I would say, and again this is pretty broad, so I can keep it. This one feels like they've written a TV show. And it's not bad because that was kind of always how it was. Like the way the seasons worked in the first one was always, this is the end of this chapter. So they chaptered it. There was like 4 or 5. There was the 4 seasons and there was a couple on either end, right? This is a little bit more based around locations and stuff. So where you go and all that kind of thing. So, it really, I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm probably, I would say, third or maybe a bit more in. I reckon that I've got like a few twists to go beforehand. The violence is pretty full on. Like the one thing I will say is that it's pretty gurgly and pretty full on. And it's fine because it doesn't. Even though I say that, it doesn't overdo it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think because people think of Gears.
Yeah, you have a high tolerance for that sort of stuff.
Sure. But the argument I would make is, say Gears of War, for example.
If you're a ratings board, nothing would get an R.
Yeah. Gears of War, for example, there's this cartoony violence. You know, as much as it's like they look real and they look like real people, they kind of don't look like real people. They look like homunculus.
The chainsaw.
Yeah. And so because there's that level of craziness to it, it doesn't matter as much. Do you know, like it doesn't affect you as much. Whereas this is far more like gurgly, bits falling off, that kind of like stuff. And so it's like it's pretty brutal. But it doesn't like. Even when it's at its tropiest, I still think it does a good job. So I don't know. Look, not finished the game yet. Not even close to finish it. Obviously, we'll have a full review up. I'm pretty sure we've got a written review coming, and then Then I'm going to wait until basically they've set us a deadline if we're going to do any like spoilery stuff. So it's like, we have to wait a couple of days until after the embargo drops for the actual review, until a certain point afterwards. And so I'm going to store up that video for then and just go, here's. Bleh. So it is, yeah. The best thing I can say is I'm enjoying it so far. They did what they had to well enough to tie the two stories together, and that's all. I'll leave it at there. So
Okay, well, I don't think they'll mind us saying that, but I would say if anybody, now I didn't get any things telling me not to spoil it, so if anybody does want to know what happens, just
Oh,
listen
don't
to it.
or don't
Podcast.
encourage people to go back. Maybe like yeah.
Yeah, no, go back and listen to the last couple of podcasts because I think I've spilled the whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Like for what it's worth, you didn't. But you definitely
man.
you got closer than you should have, and I think that's because you saw memes and stuff. But yeah, all I'll say is like maybe don't go back for a few weeks. Like just listen to 50 and 51, and then go back after you've started playing.
Memes are the language of our generation.
Yeah, correct.
I say that as a 51-year-old man.
who frequently posts memes, by the way. But yeah,
I do like memes, but I've always been a bit of a shit. I was a shit poster before the internet.
Yeah, well, I mean that's always been Australia's. Like we overrepresent ourselves when it comes to shit posting.
We are. I remember there's a thing by Moot. Remember Moot used to own Bullshan before he bailed to Google actually. I
didn't know he went to Google. I knew he bailed.
Yeah, he went to Google. Yeah, I'll tell you off here the stuff. As far as I know, what he's doing, he'll be interested. But so anyway, he said that Australia was way overrepresented amongst the shit posters, and you can tell when it was certain times of the day in Australia because the shit posting could go up and down.
Yeah, gotcha.
Now, all right, let's get on some gaming stuff. So I was actually very proud to see that off. That's pretty nice. Go Australia. We don't respect it. Yeah. So now, all right. So some quick gaming news. Now, my boy's been playing a hell of a lot of Minecraft Diablo, and they're actually it doesn't do cross-platform now. We found that out the other day when we tried to stream it. But the cross-platform update is coming soon, and the DLC is going to start arriving in July. And there's one of the complaints I saw, especially on Survivor's review, was that the length of it. Although that hasn't bothered my son and his friends because they'll play through a game like that 20 times in a row without worrying. The only thing they'll do anything that they like over and over again except schoolwork. So the DLC kind of starts coming in July, and there's going to be some pretty sizable worlds being added. So I think it's going to be an ongoing thing for that, which is pretty good news for anybody who likes Minecraft Dungeons, which I don't think is many of our audience.
Look, yes and no. Like, look, Minecraft, it's baby's first Diablo. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
It's really close. It's pretty close. It's. I've been watching a bit and having played a bit of Diablo, it's pretty close. Now next one, I'll move on to another one. Let's see. I've got some long ones here, so I'm just going to jump around to. Okay. Now I was excited. I didn't. I've got to cover it. I was excited. We got the story that there was big Sega news coming on the 4th, and it came from Famitsu. The story that was going to be groundbreaking, and Famitsu is reliable. So, and we saw it from a couple of other reliable people. There's something massive, and we thought this is going to be great. And to me, it was like Christmas. I was like, oh, Santa's coming. He's bringing a Dreamcast 2 or something.
Yeah.
And actually, all the retro groups are real excited. All the retro groups are it's going to be a console. We just can't wait. And so anyway, the news arrived. And what would we get? We got a 4 Game Gear micros, tiny little Game Gears, each with 4 games each. The blue one's got Baku Animal, which I think is the only place in the world you can play it. So at least the blue Game Gear micro will be worth it. That's pretty lame, let's be honest. And the other one was Fog Gaming, not cloud gaming.
Fog gaming. So do you want to explain the difference or?
Okay, well, right. It's okay. So basically, it's as far as I can tell, it's Japanese arcade. It's cloud gaming for Japanese arcades.
So the reason it's called fog as opposed to cloud is that you're not connecting to a centralized server. You're not connecting to a Microsoft Azure server. There is still that level, but the level you're connecting to are the arcade machines in particular arcades in Japan. So it's kind of spreading out the task of doing all the processing or whatever that is required. So
you kind of do that on a cloud setup on a server. Anyway,
yeah, I get it. And so it's similar to how Project xCloud works basically. And so that's
but Project xCloud uses your Xbox.
It does. So instead of using your Xbox in your house, it uses arcade machines. And the reason that because they're like, well, now you can actually use those machines while the arcade is closed. So now you're getting 24 hours worth of use out of them, as opposed to just getting like the 10 or 12 hours that you're open. You get 24 hours out because if people then want to play X or check the status of Y, they can do that. Now, like it is a meh announcement. It's like, okay, well, until we see the proof in the pudding, they haven't even put anything on the website about it. So
I can't hold down my excitement. My
Yeah.
excitement cannot be contained at the prospect of playing Virtua Fighter over the cloud from a Japanese arcade.
Now, the only thing I would say is, and let's go pure fantasy land, right? Let's pretend we're Q. So we'll just start making stuff up, right? So yeah. So basically, to do that, they're still going to require certain computer processors. Now, there's a company that I know of that people have been rumored to be working with Sega many times, and they've worked with them in the past a fair bit. And there's been a recent rumor that they might work with a company that specializes in a system where data is sent from a server to a box located somewhere in between the server and the end user, and then the end user uses it. So if I'm going full tinfoil hat, like...
So they're basically getting on xCloud.
Pretty much. Were I not even were I a betting man, because I wouldn't bet on it because it'd be 1,001 shot. But if I was going to go, here's my most outlandish concept I can think of, that would be it. If that is part of the collaboration between Sega and Xbox for any project that they do, I could see how it could work. But yes, at the same time, that is me purely. That's based on nothing other than. I still feel that there's something coming from Microsoft and Sega, even if it's not this Game Gear and the full gaming stuff. But yeah, I just don't know how else to explain it. Again, we're going to find out in a month anyway. But this is the fun time. This is when you get to speculate and, not have any ramifications for it.
This full game announcement was just really not what anybody was. Nobody was looking forward to this. Yeah. This was just something that everyone's excited, and it was hyped up. It was no doubt the hype that was involved, but it was just like, then it comes along and I'm reading it going, is that it? Like, I mean, another cloud gaming thing. I mean, they're running it off arcade hardware, but that's what Sony does doesn't it with their PlayStation cloud.
But again, this is the argument, is that instead of it connecting directly to the Gaikai servers or PlayStation Now, whatever they're calling it, it connects to the intermediary. Do you know what I mean? So the connection distances, and in a country like Japan, I guess you could argue it, but I would still argue you're never going to beat latency and you're never going to beat ping. It's as simple as that. Like, it's a losing battle, but they insist on it.
That's how our website runs. That's how I set up our website. Mm-hmm. It runs on a whole heap of edge servers. It's the same thing. I know it's a vastly simpler concept. But this is anyway. This is really, I got to say, I was excited. I was looking forward to it, and you can see I didn't even lead the podcast with it.
Yeah, you spoke about Last of Us, your favorite game.
Yeah, I yes, that was just because if it was good, I was just going to talk about whatever Sega did for an hour. Just all right, publish. Anyway, I'll give us some good news from Sega related, because I had to find some. The Sonic movie is officially getting a sequel, and anybody who stayed through the credits and saw Tails at the end, sorry if that's a spoiler, but still watch.
It's been a year.
It's been enough time. Knows that was going to happen anyway, but it is nice to know that it's officially been announced. But there are no details. So
I believe it's highest grossing video game movie of all time now. I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sad bunch, except for Detective Pikachu. But I think
Pikachu, first Resident Evil. There are very few good ones littered amongst them.
Okay, cool.
The first Resident Evil and the second Resident Evil were both good movies. The rest of them since have not been great.
Okay, I think my headphones are cutting out.
Go back and watch the first Resident Evil movie. It is not a bad movie. I don't care what you say. Like, you can pretend that you don't like it, but it's not a bad movie. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, absolute garbage. Don't get me wrong, but like 1 and 2 still hold up as schlocky action movies, 100%.
So it's kind of like Police Academy for anybody.
Yes, very much so. I mean, Paul W.S. Anderson, is it Paul W.S. Anderson? Yeah, it's not P.T. Anderson. Paul W.S. Anderson is like, I mean, that's his thing, schlock. The next movie he's got is fucking Monster Hunter, where it's set in the modern day world and we're hunting.
Oh yeah, with American.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
Sorry, United Nations ones. Man, that's gonna be. Actually, I got a story. Let's go. I have an interesting one here.
All right.
So let's go. Let's get topical. All right, ready to get topical?
Sure.
All right, how much time we got?
That's all right. Yeah, we're recording this at 2 in the morning, so what's the difference?
Because I did read this. Now I saw. Now there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you'd noticed, but there's a bit of stuff going on in the US right now, right? And one of the things that came in, a lot of companies are expressing support for a particular movement, and basically one of them is Call of Duty. Basically, who the makers of Call of Duty said there is no place for racist content in that game, which I thought was good. That's nice, except it is a game about the US military mostly, isn't it? Killing people overseas.
Yes.
So I mean, there must be a grey area there, but let's not get into that. I didn't want to make it a political.
I mean, like, if we're going to keep that narrow, the Activision Blizzard account also tweeted that it supported, Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, which is fine because I don't think it's a bad cause to support. But unless you're Blitzchung, then Hong Kong doesn't exist. Hong Kong is just there is no Hong Kong anymore. We've just assumed that's China. Like this is the problem with brands making these statements. Like shove it up your ass.
I didn't want to get too political, but anyway.
Talking to me, you didn't want to get too political. Sure, buddy.
Anyway, I was being careful there because I don't. I was going to try and keep general, but so anyway, I did find it interesting when they said racist content is not in a game. It's about a game where soldiers kill people.
Yeah.
The US military does tend to anyway. But when I did start reading, I found something I thought was interesting, and you'll like this. And there's an article from 2014 in Guardian. They were talking about how who makes Call of Duty again? I can't remember the name.
Like
Color and
no, they've been
they got kicked out.
EA for years. It's Treyarch does one lot, and the other but then it alternates, and then the other one is Sledgehammer and something else They're doing the one at the moment. Like Sledgehammer, I think handles the Call of Duty Warzone and stuff.
Comment below and tell me off. But it's not my key series. But comment below and tell me off. I got it wrong. So anyway, they said we worked with a Pentagon advisor about the future conflicts that are going to come. And here's one. And the Pentagon advisor apparently said the future conflict for the American troops, because they were looking to put in the game in 2014. They said it won't be China. They didn't. The Pentagon advisor said they don't believe it would be China. They didn't believe it would be terrorists.
Yeah.
What they did believe it would be, and this is the quote: the next threat to the United States will come from a private military company.
Yeah, Eric Price. I mean, look, we'll just call it out. Allegedly.
Okay. Wait, just a moment while I turn my phone off. So I did find that interesting. But anyway, it's always nice. Anyway, just something there for you. I thought you'd appreciate that one especially. I'll just leave that open ended. So now, next news article. Now let's see. Sony. I got to talk Sony. It's a podcast. I've talked Last of Us. We only really have 2 topics we talk here, or 3. We do like to get a bit political. I'm trying to control that at the moment. We do like to talk Last of Us and my absolute love for that game. And and also the other thing I love more than anything in the whole world is Sony. So let's get some Sony news out of the way. Now Sony has postponed their they had a game reveal event planned because of current events. They felt a lot of companies are postponing things because basically, let's be honest, they won't get much coverage right now because there's a lot of other stuff going on. Now, but they did make a couple of announcements. So Sony will not, all PlayStation 4 games, any developer releasing a PlayStation 4 game after 13th of July, has a PlayStation 5 game, has to make sure to work on both consoles, basically.
Yes.
For PlayStation 5 from 13th of July. They're trying to say this is basically how they're going to pad their backward compatibility. So Sony's told all devs to do that. But then Sony has said for its first-party games, they will not be making them backward compatible. They will not be making games that work on both. Like Microsoft is making games that'll work on
they're making a point of being like, buy an Xbox because if you like our games, you can just fucking play it on either. We don't care.
Yes. Now Sony's saying, they're telling their devs to make sure their games work on both. Anything released after 13th of July. Basically for backward compatibility, the same 5 has to work on 4. But they were saying with their first party games that Sony said, quote, we believe in generations. I personally believe the console generation stuff is a lot of bullshit, but anyway, it's really dumb. And they've said that their games their their games that are released will not be backward compatible. You'll either get a PS4 one or a PS5 one. So anyway, that's just something from Sony. They're going a different path to the Xbox with this stuff. Now, Xbox has said, let's look at Xbox's backward compatibility on select titles. On the Xbox, when you play a backward compatible game, it'll up the frame rate potentially up to 120 frames per second on an old game at HDR, high dynamic range, and 4K, and run natively on the new Xbox, obviously, because you download. So there's a big gap between the two. Now, what it shows is that Sony don't have much backward compatible stuff working. I'm gonna call that now because basically they're forcing their developers to do it from the 13th of July. So they must need some to pad, and on their own, they're not even going to bother.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting. Meanwhile, over in the Xbox, your old Xbox games are going to run really fast and at really high 4K, 120 frames per second for select old games. And they say select, so you can guarantee it's Halo on that.
Yeah.
You're going to guarantee it's Forza and things like that, right? The massive difference between these two consoles and how they're treating backward compatibility, and it looks like Sony's disorganized, but I'm just making that call now.
But this is the thing. Like, they've always flirted with backwards compatible. Like, they made the PS3 backwards compatible, but then they took out the PS2.
They took it out.
Yeah. So, but you could still play PS1 games in it, but you couldn't play PS2 games in it because they took the chip out that specifically handles that, right? So they said it and then they took it out. So they've always been this kind of half-assing it kind of way of doing it, right? Nintendo also have a bit of a different kind of backwards and forwards history, like eShop,
they release the same game over and over again on your console,
and people still fucking pay $70 for it. Exactly,
and you'll like it.
But Microsoft have always made a concerted effort to do this. Like, they had 200 games from Xbox to Xbox 360 that would work backwards compatible. They're now saying that and then there's the same again for 360. But also those original Xbox games will now work on Bone as well. So you've got the 200 or so original Xbox games. You've got probably about, I would say, 250, maybe thereabouts, maybe more, Xbox 360 games that work. Like, I've still got Saints Row 4 installed on my hard drive, Rascals, all these great games that never made it across. And then they're saying with the Series X that all of that will carry out. All of the Bone library, like whatever's there already of the 360 and whatever's there already of the Xbox thing. I don't care that is such a value proposition, and the only other reasonable value proposition that matches it is Steam, right? But the problem with Steam is that, like, I've been trying to play Densha Dead Go. I've got a Japanese copy of Densha Dead Go on PC. Works on XP. I have to set up a virtual machine, so I'll have to get your help later to set that up. But I have to do that, and I have to whereas, like, to me, like, not being able to just play that makes me like there is still generations in PC hardware. Microsoft, for all you want to fault them on, are going out of their way to make sure those generations don't exist on their console. And the Xbox 360 engineering is a fucking masterpiece. The way that they've managed to do it, it works seamlessly. I'm yet to have a single issue that wasn't already an issue with the game. Like, if there's bugs, it's because the game is already buggy. It's not because the emulation's causing it. And so, I don't know. I don't know why they why Sony even entertains the notion. But I guess they're realizing that backwards compatibility matters to consumers more than they thought it did. Like, and that can be the only reason I can see that they're scrambling this hard to make up the gap.
Well, they're forcing their devs to do it. They're not going to, but they're forcing their third-party devs to do it.
Yeah.
I think they have realized late that it is a big deal, and Microsoft really are. You just can't do it much better than what Microsoft are doing as far as that is. As we said, Nintendo just don't even bother. They just and so I think the other thing we still haven't had anything other than the hard drive. We only know about the hard drive. So even though they've delayed this event, which maybe they didn't have anything to show. Cynical about it. Anyway, so PS4 is a half-assed PlayStation backward compatibility coming. I wouldn't get my hopes up about it. The Xbox One looks fantastic though. 120 frames per second, HDR, 4K on an old game that wasn't written for that. It's pretty impressive work. Actually had that. Another Sony one. Now Sony's removed the backdoor from the Chinese PlayStation Store. We spoke about that on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. Now it turns out, I got some more details about this. Apparently, if you hold down certain buttons when you boot up your PlayStation, you could then go and actually access games that outside of the Chinese PlayStation Store. So you can access games that weren't approved by China's. They've got a cultural something board that has to approve every single game. You can only play about 150 PlayStation games in China. It's only about 150 have been approved to be released. So what the Chinese gamers were doing is they were quite happily holding down this sequence buttons and then going into an international store and basically playing anything they want. And China said no, that's bad. Do that. Now there were some. I did see an interesting story. There were some people actually like selling for like $5 kits that would do it automatically for people, and I thought mod chips are back. Mod chips. So and just picturing Chinese people going to swap meets, walking in with their PlayStations and like going in and getting a little dodgy dude in the corner with a table and giving him $1 while he solders on a couple of wires and a chip into their PlayStation. So Sony removed that though. Sorry, Chinese listeners.
I mean that's the classic.
So anyway, Chinese now Chinese are back to being only allowed to play a selection of 150 games on the PlayStation. Okay, now I think I've got one last story, and this is a biggie. And I'm going to say something nice about somebody, and it's I'm going to say sometimes, and we spoke with this before off here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at someone like how do I word this?
Take your time.
Okay, you look at someone like Jason Schreier, right?
Yeah.
And Kotaku, and you wonder, like, you've always maintained he's actually a good journalist. And you look, the Kotaku stains anybody involved. Let's be honest, because I actually think Mark Serrell's from Australian Kotaku, even though they're not the same.
He's just complete grunt. It's the horse, not the horse shit. And if you separate the horse shit, then maybe
Yeah, well, look, I think Mark Serrells can write some really, really good stuff. Yeah. So he doesn't particularly like me, but there you go. I'm going to say something nice about him. But Jason Schreier has moved to Bloomberg, and the article doing the rounds at the moment that he wrote at Bloomberg deserves a lot of credit because he's actually done journalism. He's actually now the story is the makers of Kerbal. This is going to be a bit heavy, but here we go. The makers of Kerbal Space Program 2, a company called Star Theory. Apparently the developers of that company got messaged via LinkedIn at one point telling them that that Take-Two, the publisher of that, have started a new company and that they should apply to work at that company. It'd be really awesome. Go join this new company, start a new one. It's Take-Two company, you love it. And so the developers working on at this company who's going to do this Kerbal Space Program 2 thought, well, that's interesting. A few days later, they're going to a meeting at Star Theory. And they were informed that Take-Two had taken the contract to make Kerbal Space Program 2 off the company because negotiations weren't quite going the way they wanted.
Yeah.
And they've given the deal to a new company to make it. And the new company was the one that contacted the staff on LinkedIn. You can see where this is going.
Yeah.
And Star Theory had to tell the staff at that point they had no cash and no contracts. So basically, Take-Two approached the staff.
Wide answer them,
Yeah. And a lot of staff left. They went, well, I'd rather take the money. So off we go. And Star Theory closed down. So, and that's a story that Jason Schreier has written for Bloomberg. It's a very interesting story. It gets a bit heavy. So it's not your standard stuff. It's definitely not the sort of thing. Well, Kotaku used to run like that, but then they turned into writing really, superficial articles. This is good work. This is an interesting story. I'd be interested. We talk about unionizing developers and protecting developers, but this is kind of like protecting a company from a publisher. Now, publishers are still top of the food chain in this industry. They still do a few things, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have moved away from that more centralized thing, and I think there are, a lot of these smaller, like Team 17 has moved away from development nearly entirely, and they basically just produce a lot of stuff now.
The old Amiga days with
Worms and stuff.
Stephen Moberg was there for a while. He wrote LHA, which is Amiga Zip, and he ended up working on the Frostbite, I think it was, engine at EA that runs Garden Warfare.
It runs everything.
They
use it on everything. So
different. I think he's in New Zealand. Anyway, the old Amiga. Team 17's old Amiga one.
Yeah, and so there's definitely these kind of people who have moved into that space. I mean, even Koch Media are doing like a lot of the B games. Focus, 505, they've been doing a lot of these B games for a while. Like Rebellion's games all come through 505, and The guys who made Technomancer just made Greedfall. So there are definitely arrangements where this is working. Like they're just like, we just want it. We'll provide you the infrastructure. We'll provide you whatever, and they're either paying them a fee or paying them a percentage of sales or whatever. So it can definitely work. But I mean, I don't know. Take-Two have. I mean, anyone who's played NBA 2K20 knows how much 2K wants your money. Like we make jokes about EA, but I mean 2K20 is pretty bad for it. Like every second thing is buy more currency.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, so that when you mentioned you bought it, that's why I was like, yeah, get ready to be asked to buy currency. Like Galea obviously plays a lot of those kind of games, and yeah, that was one of the first things that he recognized was that it's really really full on with how hard they push that stuff. Like
I got asked by somebody to stop making fun of Jamie on the podcast. I haven't done that for a while. But anyway,
well, I mean, that's not making fun. Like, that's just legitimately calling out the fact that he plays. Yeah,
he used to enjoy that. I haven't for a while, but I did get asked by someone and said, "Oh, you make fun of Jamie on the podcast." I thought you must be listening to the old ones.
yeah.
I did have time to think something up, but be hello to Jamie. He'll be listening in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get your angry email. But yeah, look, I mean, assuming that's true, and we have to, like, again, the one thing with Schreier is he always brings his receipts. If he can't give a source, he'll give as much surrounding information as he can to ensure that it's true. And he's built up enough of a reputation that even if you dislike his politics, even if you dislike all that, which, again, that's the horse shit.
Well, I don't have to care about his politics as if he does good. If you do factual reporting, I don't care about your politics.
Yep, exactly. And that is definitely... Yeah, that is definitely something that I think a lot of people lose sight of. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just
Tell me now, if a man like Jason can do this sort of work, and this is an article that's businessy, and it's an article that's needs to be told, because this sort of stuff, because really we need to know the good and bad things happening in the industry.
Yeah.
Compared to not necessarily him, but the general shit that Kotaku puts out. Let's be honest, it's not as bad as Polygon, but Kotaku puts garbage, right? It just really, you wonder. I wonder who else is sitting at Kotaku now who's actually talented.
Yeah.
Not Hernandez, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, people are.
I thought we weren't naming names or getting political. Fuck you.
Patricia Hernandez, she's still there. She'd be writing like "fuck you" Pikachu articles and stuff. But you just wonder, like, you got a publication like Kotaku, and the trash that it is. You look at what Schreier can do when he left.
I mean, he was doing good work working for him, but now that, I mean, look, he's working for Bezos, so it's always tough because, like, you never want to be nice to Bezos.
Everyone wants Bloomberg, so mistake.
Like, and so you never, the other billionaire, you never want to give that kind of credit, but it really is. I don't know. Look, I hope he does well, and I've always been a supporter of his journalism. I've always been a supporter, because as much as you may not like him or you think he's a this, that, or the other, it doesn't matter. When he puts his head down, bum up, and does like work, he fucking does work, and you've got to respect the man for doing that. Do you know what I mean? It's just
just goes to show the poison that Kotaku is.
Yes, I won't disagree. So
as the nasty messages from him again. But also, I mean, what Take-Two have done here. Now, this is not an uncommon thing in business, but it's really scabby, and it is really. This is one where we try and protect devs, but this is one where they have gone and screwed a company out of business, which I believe, as a person who's been in business for run mine for 20 years, over 20 years, this sort of stuff is unconscionable, and I don't know what anyone can do about it. But because if you boycott Space Kerbal Program too, you hurt the devs. But boycotts never work anyway; they're always hot air. So look, I think it's pretty awful behaviour by Take-Two. It's really really disgusting. It will actually colour what I think of Take-Two as a publisher, but also it goes to show that publishers are effectively just banks, and they're assholes.
Yeah, and again, you might be lucky and you might find a good one who's not a complete bastard, but this is the kind of stuff we need to be calling out so that we don't belittle that trust. You know what I mean? So we do keep it. I don't know. It's just definitely not the kind of thing you want to minimize. So
No,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things going in the industry, but I mean, we've been talking about, like I said, superficial stuff for a couple of years. I think this sort of reporting I'd like to see more of. So, Jason, well done.
Yep.
I'm sure you're listening to us right now. But, well, this is good stuff. I'd like to see more of it. This sort of reporting, we need more. We need more thoughtful, intelligent reporting. This is good stuff. Go read it, anyone who's listening. Track it down. It's in Bloomberg. It's about just search for Star Theory, make a Kerbal Space Program 2, Take Two. Those search terms will probably turn it up. It's pretty good work. But yeah, pretty disgusting effort by Take Two.
Yeah,
it's,
like I say, like that's the real poor form, like some super real poor form.
Bad form. Approaching staff, and then poaching them basically. Yeah, well, it's just got every bit of business poor form that you don't like to see. It is a general business comment, not as a gaming industry comment. All right, cool. Now I've run out of stuff, so we're avoided getting too heavy into the NFP.
Yeah, I think we've avoided it. The only thing I would say is so we got some content coming up. We're still figuring out what's happening with C31. But yeah, the only thing that I've done over the last few days is play Last of Us 2, stream, and get really good at Hanafuda cards because Worldwide Games we've been given code for it. I think I'm allowed to talk about it now. Pretty sure I am. But yeah. I've just gotten,
it's a gamers would be surprised the amount of agreements that anybody who's reporting on games.
Mate, we're barely medium sized. Like you gotta understand, we're barely medium sized. And
imagine IGN. You'd have to have a full time lawyer.
Yeah.
Just to say you can't do that. You can't say that. You're not allowed to show anybody.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I remember when you said, do you want to have a look at Minecraft Dungeons earlier? Oh, cool. And it's basically, along with the code comes a list of things you're not allowed to say and do. And I thought, well, I'm bad at that. I don't like being told what not to do. I'm going to do it. It's like, don't think of an elephant. I'm thinking of an elephant. Shit. Don't spoil the game, Jared. Don't spoil Last of Us 2, Jared. Oh, guess what happens?
Yeah, look. It's one of those things. Like I've been playing. Like again, I'm just having a look at the embargo now. So preview content is fine. I'm not allowed to do certain things, which I don't think I've done. But I've played Yakuza has always had a lot of these random games that you do as like a side thing, and it's always had mahjong. But the way it explains mahjong is awful. It's had Hanafuda. The way it explains Hanafuda is awful. And then I can't call it Hanafuda because I think Nintendo actually owned the copyright to that name. Because do you know where Nintendo got its start, Gerard? There's your trivia question for the day.
Playing cards or crime?
Playing cards is the correct answer. But they also did used to run love hotels as well. So I guess it may not have been criminal, but I'm sure it was seedy. But yeah, and so like Hanafuda cards are like I'm pretty sure they're a creation of Nintendo because the Hanafuda cards I have actually have Nintendo written on them. And so the way that they explained it in Yakuza was always terrible, but playing it on the Switch version of Clubhouse games, like it's great. It's genuinely great.
Oh yeah, I spoke about that a week or two ago.
Yeah, it's and it's got so many. Like I'll fill you in on the list off air. Sorry to tease everyone. Actually, when is the embargo up? I think it's for
Clubhouse games.
Yeah.
Good.
Review guidelines. Oh no, we can talk about it then. Print and review online can be thing. What can I not discuss?
I said,
it's fine. Then I can just talk about it. No. I'll talk about it. So there's obviously 51 games, and it does range. It really does range from, and you can tell they kind of ran out of thing. So, there's like random, like there's backgammon and all these classics. And this is the thing: if you're a small dev, the easiest way to make money on any of those stores when the games first come out is be the first one to release a X game, whether that's Sudoku, whether that is any kind of card game, because people want things to play, and it's an easy thing to program, and it's an easy thing to do. This obviously it's got a bunch of little actiony games as well, which are not quite as fun because it's not really in the spirit of it. Like the air hockey's fun, and there's a few others that are fun, but like the reason you're playing it is for these things. So I have become legitimately passable at Hanafuda. Like I can take the impossible AI 75% of the time. So I'm interested to play it more now because I want to see what it's like without the guides on the game. Because as much as it's like I'm still making the decision, I'm still making the tactical calls of, I've still got to. I'm going to try and build up for this hand. I'm going to try and build up for this match. I'm going to try and build up for that. It doesn't guide you, but you know whether it's going to work or not. Whereas like if you have to do it in your own brain, it's tougher because you're like, hang on, is that from the right suit, the right seat? It's all seasons. It's basically it's 4 cards from 12 seasons, as opposed to the other way around for normal cards where it's like 13 cards for 4 suits, right? So you kind of have to warp your thinking another way. I love it. I've been I go to bed and I'll either play some, because I've got solitaire on there, standard solitaire on there as well. I'll play some solitaire or I'll play some Hanafuda and I'll go to bed. And for its purpose, it's great. I reckon you'll love it. I reckon you'll get so much use out of it. But anyway, that's all I've been doing. Like legitimately.
Solitaire, you're going to be playing solitaire to fall asleep on a portable device. So you have basically become a housewife.
Yes. Well, but this is the thing. Like, when they can beat me at Hanafuda, they can say whatever the hell they want. But like, it is that thing of, because at the moment I either play Animal Crossing or that on my Switch. Like, there's too many good Xbox games. Like, I just bought a bunch of great stuff on Xbox. Greedfall, Sinking City. There was this big sale on Xbox the other day, so I bought a bunch of good stuff on Xbox. Yep. So if I'm in my room, I'm probably going to play Xbox. If I'm on my PS4 at the moment, I'm probably going to be playing Last of Us. If I'm on my Switch, I'm playing like 51 Clubhouse games. I'm just playing that. It's what interests me. It's what I want to play. So like,
that's fair.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's really good. It's really fun. And I don't know. I'm just enjoying it a lot, and I think that similar to the one that they had on the DS, it will fill that niche. I worry for those companies that made these kind of games, because they're just not as polished as the one that Nintendo is making. But again, if you want to get good at Hanafuda and challenge me, then feel free, because I'm actually reasonably decent at the game now.
Now you said that, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, and because you like, there's elements of getting lucky. Like, there's the way that the defense works, the way that trying to stop people from getting hands, the overextension. So if let's say you get a registered hand in the game, so you've got the correct cards to acknowledge a hand. You can either just say, cool, that's the end of the round, we shuffle again, we start up again, or you can go koi and keep going. And if you keep going, let's say you keep going because you've got 5 points, but you want to try and make it 7, because then you get double points, and I score the next hand, I get double points. But then let's say you did manage to get so I would get the points, so I'd get double points for whatever hand I got. But then let's say the opposite. I'm winning, and I go koi, and then you go, right, I managed to get these 2 hands together that equals 7 points. You get double the 7 points. Anything over 7 points gets doubled straight away. So 14 points. But because I called koi and you then got the next winning hand, you get double points again. So you get 4 times points. So sometimes it's worth just putting out whatever you can to try and stop people from getting... There's a meta game to it that doesn't really get acknowledged. Anyway, that's my review of Hanafuda. Like, I genuinely I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm just glad that I checked the embargo, and I'm like, I can actually talk about it now. Yeah, it's really
anybody
fun.
who fast forwarded to near the end of the podcast right now is going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's all that. I've been playing Minecraft.
Minecraft Dungeons. The exact opposite, run around and hit X. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've turned into a 12-year-old boy. I bought
I've seen your Twitter feed. It's fine.
Yeah, I bought my son a Realms subscription, and he put his friends on, and I hadn't played since the kids were basically born. I thought, I'll hop on and build a tower like I used to. And then nowadays the villagers have got their own economy and everything. Yeah. So I'm almost playing SimCity with Minecraft, building them up and protecting them, and trying to get more trading and everything.
Which is something which, to be fair, that is definitely something that Dragon Quest Builders did. Dragon Quest Builders it had the same kind of principles as Minecraft. Terraria as well. I mean, Terraria is probably another big influence for that. Whereas, so in Dragon Quest, the idea is you need to rebuild the city and bring people back and all this kind of stuff. But Terraria's got that. Terraria's got, you get villagers who'll come to your settlement and they'll live in their rooms and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you would like Terraria. You and the boy, I reckon, if you play Terraria.
Oh, he played a lot on his iPad. I played a little bit, and it was interesting. But at that point, I wasn't playing that sort of game. But yeah, return to Minecraft. I'm post 50 and I'm playing Minecraft. So
well, look, there's worse things to be playing. But look, that's it. As far as anything else, don't forget to contact your local members of Parliament and hassle them about C31's license not being renewed, because it's a very bloody-minded, bad decision. And then Couch Warriors has their Street Fighter 5 stream on Saturday if you want to watch some high-tier esports.
Well, let's say thanks to anyone who's stuck with us for 50 episodes. 50 episodes. That's good. Just quickly, I know we're running way over,
Oh,
but
no, we're not actually as far over as you think we are. It's actually we're taking less time than we have on previous podcasts. Is all I'll say.
I've got stats here. I'm just going to say because it is our 50th episode, so I'll give some stats without any identifying information. And this is from Spotify because we do put this on Spotify, one of the platforms we're on. We don't get $100 million like some, but anyway, no. So anyway, so I don't think there's much catfishing on Spotify, but I'd like to say thanks to all listeners. Our listeners, which is interesting for podcasts and very different to YouTube. It's 51% female, 48% male, and 1% non-binary. So we have a very diverse listeners. I don't know how we managed that, but we did. And the age group also, we actually 45% of our listeners are 45 to 59. So obviously it's people my age, which is pretty cool. We also have another big lump, 28, 34 and 18, 22. So look, we've managed to get a really good audience, and I'd like to thank the audience for listening. I think it's great. I'm happy anybody listens to us at all, but also it's good to see we have a good spread, and it's a target sort of audience that every other video game podcast and YouTube channel would kill for. So I really appreciate everyone listens. So thanks a lot. And if anybody has any comments or suggestions, we're always open to them.
There you go.
Yeah, so anyway, newgameplus.tv is where you'll find everything.
Yep.
So thank you very much, everyone. Like I said, 50 episodes. Thanks, Jason, for being here for. I think you were here for 47 of them.
Yeah, the only ones you did when you betrayed me when I was in Japan. Otherwise, it's been fine.
Oh yeah, no, I had when I had Megan on and Jody on.
Megan and Jody are fine. Yeah, they're not a problem.
And a Nino fan, but my favorite person in the whole world, Junglist, was on, and that's my highlight of my whole podcast. I only wanted to do it for that. Got to have him on in person. We talked about gambling and games and stuff, which is a really good. I might upload that to YouTube as a special thing. But anyway, thanks everybody for being involved. Jason for being involved. Thanks everybody for listening when they do. And newgameplus.tv to check everything out. Jack's winter series, I think, is on TV at the moment.
Start up from this week just gone. Yeah.
And any comments, let us know. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.